Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unity Quickie. In this video, we will learn about materials and textures. Our game objects look boring and plain in their default state. We can add color and details to our object by adding a material to it. Game objects with mesh renderers, aka 3D objects like this cube here, are instantiated with a default material. But this default material really is just a placeholder, and we can't actually interact with it. So we will need to create a new material if we want to give this cube some color and life. We create a material by going to the project view, click the right click on the project view, and we will see an option to create. Select material from the list, and voila, new material. Let's call it cubism. Now, Unity, as you can see here, Unity materials contain an exhaustive array of parameters. But for the purpose of this tutorial, and really for most beginner games, we can make do with just the albedo parameter. The albedo determines the color of the material. So let's set a color for the material, perhaps a shade of magenta. Now, as with everything else in Unity, there are a few ways to add material to a game object. You can either drag and drop the material into the mesh renderer's material parameter over here, or do it the way I prefer. That is, drag and drop the material into the game object itself. There we go. It's as simple as that. Now, this is useful for a simple object with a singular color. How about complex objects like, say, the Alice model that we're going to use for the tutorial? Now, it will not do for our game character Alice to be made up of just a single color. For a complex object like Alice, we use what is called a texture to color it. Now, as you see, imported objects come with their own material, as you can see here. Remember, the mesh renderer component is found for imported objects is found in the model of the game object rather than the parent game object that contains everything else that is related to the object. So make sure you select the model of Alice here. To add a texture, before that, when we imported Alice, we also imported the materials that came with Alice and Alice's sword. So we can also access the material here. Now, first, if we want to use a texture, we need to import the texture into Unity. And it is as simple as dragging and dropping it here. Now, all we need to do is to drag the material into the albedo slot of Alice's texture, which is currently Alice Diffuse. So this is an alternative way to view the material. Drag into this little box here and boom, voila. Alice has color now. Textures are usually created in an external application together with the 3D model itself. Anyway, that is all for this video. In the next part, we shall begin putting our game together. And Thank you for watching.